This video consists of multiple choice questions from the subject Fundamentals of Commerce, and the topic is World Trade Organization. What are trade negotiations? Talks between member countries and non-member countries to impose tariffs on imports. Discussions between rich governments to abolish tariffs on exports from poor countries. Bilateral agreements to promote international trade. Negotiations between member parties to reach agreements on trade related issues, and the answer is option D. Negotiations between member parties to reach agreements on trade related issues. What is the primary objective of trade negotiations? To enhance cooperation among world countries in trade matters. To enhance cooperation among countries in trade matters. To eliminate at least 100 types of trade barriers and achieve complete free trade. To eliminate all trade barriers and achieve complete free trade. And the answer is option B, to enhance cooperation among countries in trade matters. Which organization played a significant role in facilitating world trade negotiations till 1995? General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, United Nations, World Trade Organization. And the answer is option A, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. During the period 1948 to 1994, most of the world trade was governed by General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, World Bank, World Trade Organization, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. And the answer is option A, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. What is the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade? It is a regional trade agreement between Asian countries and European Union. It is a bilateral agreement between two countries to facilitate trade in specific goods. It is a multilateral treaty among member countries that promotes free trade by reducing tariffs and other trade barriers. It is an international organization that regulates global trade and investment. And the answer is option C, a multilateral treaty that promotes free trade among member countries by reducing tariffs and trade barriers. When did General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade came into effect? 1945, 1946, 1947, 1948. And the answer is option D, 1948. GATT was originally signed by how many countries, including USA? 145 member countries, 23 member countries, 19 member countries, 48 member countries. And the answer is option B, 23 countries. How did GATT promote international trade among member countries? By imposing less tariffs on imported goods, by promoting import substitution policies, by conducting trade negotiations and tariff rounds, by promoting export substitution policies. And the answer is option C, by conducting trade negotiations and tariff rounds. What is the full form of GATT? Grand Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, General and Taxes on Trade, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, General Agreement of Trade and Tariffs. And the answer is option C, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. Which international organization replaced GATT? IMF, WB, WTC, WTO. And the answer is option D, WTO replaced GATT. What is the full form of WTO? World Trading Organization, World Tax Organization, World Trademark Organization, World Trade Organization. And the answer is option D, World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization is an international business organization, intergovernmental organization, intercountry organization, international trademarks organization. And the answer is option B, intergovernmental organization. In which year WTO replaced GATT? 25th April 1994, 15th April 1994, 16th April 1994, 26th April 1994. And the answer is option B, 15th April 1994. From which year World Trade Organization officially started its operations? January 1st, 1995, January 1st, 2005, January 1st, 1985, January 1st, 1905. And the answer is option A, January 1st, 1995. Where is the headquarters of the WTO located? New York, USA, Brussels, Belgium, Geneva, Switzerland, Paris, France. And the answer is option C, Geneva, Switzerland. What is the primary objective of WTO? To reduce trade restrictions and facilitate international trade, to promote regional economic integration among member countries, to regulate foreign investments and capital flows, to enforce trade and environmental standards in member countries. And the answer is option A, to reduce trade restrictions and facilitate international trade. What is the primary function of World Trade Organization? To regulate foreign direct investment among member countries, to facilitate trade negotiations and resolve trade disputes among member countries, to establish common monetary policies among member countries, to promote monetary and regional economic integration in the world. And the answer is option B, to facilitate trade negotiations and resolve trade disputes among member countries. At the establishment of WTO, how many countries were its signatory parties? 144 signatory members, 104 signatory members, 114 signatory members, 139 signatory members. And the answer is option B, 104 signatory members. WTO is a temporary agreement, bilateral instrument, permanent agreement, provisional institution. And the answer is option C, permanent agreement. GATT is a temporary agreement, bilateral instrument, permanent agreement, provisional institution. And the answer is option A, temporary agreement. Who is the Director General of WTO? Roberto Azevedo, Mike Moore, Pascal Lamy, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And the answer is option D, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. What are the guiding principles of World Trade Organization? Export and import substitution, bilateral trade agreements and monetary-oriented policies, free trade, non-discrimination and transparency, monetary policy coordination among member countries. And the answer is option C, free trade, non-discrimination and transparency. Which WTO body is responsible for the settlement of disputes between member countries? Dispute Settlement Body, General Council, appellate body, ministerial conference. And the answer is option A, dispute settlement body. How does the WTO settle trade disputes between member countries? By imposing sanctions on non-compliant countries, by conducting thorough investigations and trials, through a dispute settlement mechanism with a panel of experts, by referring disputes to international court for resolution. And the answer is option C, through a dispute settlement mechanism with a panel of experts, which is the highest level decision-making body of World Trade Organization. Council for Trade in Services, Dispute Settlement Body, Ministerial Conference, General Council. And the answer is option C, Ministerial Conference. Which one of the following principle refers to trade concession granted to one member country should be extended to all member countries? Free trade area, preferential trade agreement, customs union, most favored nation. And the answer is option D, most favored nation. Which of the following is not a primary function of WTO? To improve the standard of living of people of member countries, settling trade disputes among member countries of WTO, providing loans to developing countries, to protect environment. And the answer is option C, providing loans to developing countries. Which country became 166th member of WTO on 26 February 2024? India, Taiwan, Afghanistan, Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste. And the answer is option D, Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste. Which of the following is in charge of managing daily operations of WTO? Council for Trade in Services, General Council, Dispute Settlement Body, Ministerial Conference. And the answer is option B, General Council. Which of the following statement is not true about WTO? WTO is a permanent organization. WTO was officially constituted on 1st January 1991. Ministerial Conference is the highest policy-making body of WTO. WTO acts as a forum for settling trade disputes among member countries. And the answer is option B. WTO was officially constituted on 1st January 1991 is not true about WTO. What is the principle of special and differential treatment in WTO? Imposing differential tariffs on imports from different countries, providing financial aid to least developed countries for trade-related capacity building, granting preferential trade agreements to certain member countries, imposing similar tariffs on imports from different countries. And the answer is option B, providing financial aid to least developed countries for trade-related capacity building. Who is the most recently appointed the ambassador and permanent representative of India to WTO? Senthil Pandian C, Senthil Kumar C, Anwar Hussain Sheikh, Rajendra Navneet. And the answer is option A, Senthil Pandian C. TRIPS, Trade-Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights Agreement is administered by World Trade Organization, World Bank, United Nations Organization, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. And the answer is World Trade Organization. How many observer countries are there in WTO? 23 observer countries, 33 observer countries, 43 observer countries, 13 observer countries. Answer is option A. 23 observer countries are there in WTO. Which one of the following is not an observer country of WTO? Iran, Libya, Bhutan, Burma. And the answer is option D. Burma is not an observer country of WTO. How many official languages are there for WTO? 4 official languages, 5 official languages, 3 official languages, 6 official languages. And the answer is option C, 3. Which of the following are the official languages of WTO? English, Russian and Chinese, English, French and Russian, English, French and Chinese, English, French and Spanish. And the answer is option D. English, French and Spanish are the official languages of WTO. Which one of the following is not a function of WTO? Funding development projects of member countries, acts as a forum for trade negotiations, reviews national trade policies, cooperation with other international organizations. And the answer is option A, funding development projects of member countries. The most favored nation clause under the WTO regime is based on the principle of uniform tariffs across commodities to minimize discrimination between nations, to favor the least developing countries, non-discrimination between member nations. And the answer is option D, non-discrimination between nations.